Wait, wait. Is Bug-Eye Thorfinn gonna replace Thorfinn? Is the theory coming to life?
Hey everyone, and welcome to a new Vinland Saga Manga review. So, we got a new chapter today, chapter 176, and ooh boy. Okay, I have a lot of things to talk about, first impressions, okay? At first, when I read it, I actually didn't quite like it. I thought it was so-and-so. I had some issues, which I will address, okay? On a second read, I noticed some things which could potentially lead to some really interesting developments in the future of the series. So I will talk about the three biggest things that happened, I guess. So this video is divided into three parts. The first part will be about the preparation to Vinland, the arrival in Greenland and what comes later. The second part will be about Leif and what happened with Leif. And the third part, the third part is going to be about my boy Bug-Eye Thorfinn, okay? Alright, because I have a lot of stuff to talk about. So, these are the timestamps for the specific parts. And let's begin with what happened, really. So, finally, we get to Greenland. I really like the fact that we didn't waste any time on the journey there. We went there immediately. So we get to Greenland, and this is where Leif's farm is. And we basically see Leif. He's kind of like, he's so like old, I guess, and he has declined cognitively and mentally, I guess. I'll talk about that in the second part of the video. And basically what happens is they meet up with Thorfinn. Thorfinn has come to collect more settlers, and he gives to him this pipe. And he gives him some information about the natives, the Skrelligs? Yeah. And basically that's the whole chapter. The chapter is about this nice interaction between Leif and Thorfinn. And at the end of the chapter, they have this really wholesome, nice talk, one-to-one, where Thorfinn realizes it has been 20 years I guess since he left the island, and what kind of a journey he's been. And not only that, he also realizes that Leif has been with him for the most part, Leif has been such a big ally and a father figure. And then the chapter ends with the three father figures, Thorfinn's father figures. And I love the fact that it's not just Thor's, it's also Askeladd. So Thorfinn acknowledges how Askeladd molded him into the man he is today. But also, he places Leif there in the middle, which goes to show how important Leif is for our boy Thorfinn. And man, he really is such an integral part of this story. He's been in the beginning. He's the one who introduced us to the idea of Vinland in the first chapters, and then he arrived in the prologue. Then he came back into the farmland arc to save Thorfinn and get him away, to get him out of there. And then ever since, he has been with us. In fact, apart from Thorfinn, Leif is the only character who has appeared in all of the parts and all of the arcs. No other character has done this, So he's such an integral part. I love that about him. And we see that he's placed among the two other father figures. And Thorfinn in the end says father to him. And that was very emotional, Okay, now, before we get talking about, Leif's condition and Bug-Eye's, what happens is Leif gives Thorfinn this pipe, and he gives him some information about the natives. And this is like a Chekhov's gun to me, because there's no way this pipe is not used to broker some kind of deal with the natives or to show them their intentions. I guarantee at some point our heroes will be under attack, and Thorfinn is going to pull out that pipe and he's going to be, do you want to smoke? And like, yeah, that will be the gesture that calms them down and like gets them to trust them. Who are you? Why do you have that pipe? You know. Yeah, so the pipe is definitely important. I don't know about the headdress. I don't know if he's gonna get the headdress thing that Leif was wearing in the prologue. If he does, again, that's gonna be a major thing, a very important object that Thorfinn will need. And Thorfinn says that he has to get more settlers. There were some really interesting moments in there because he mentioned that he will bring more supplies during summer, which leads me to believe, okay, what if he can't? Will they be trapped there in Vinland? Will they have sufficient supplies? Is this a future foreshadowing about a future event, about the supplies running out? Thorfinn has mentioned multiple times over a series of chapters he needs to get more settlers from Greenland. And I've talked about this in a previous manga review, chapter review, where I said, to me, this is signifying that we're gonna meet someone there in Greenland. Why is Greenland gonna take 2 or 3 chapters of this story? Probably because we're gonna meet someone new. That's a possibility, that someone new will arrive, a new character that will play part in the final arc. And there's also a possibility that any of the previous characters, Snake, Atli, Anna, whatnot, I've made a whole list of them in a previous video. Who could it be there? You know, Father Willibald could be there. We don't know. Like, it could be anyone. So there is potential for an older character to reappear or a new character to join the fray. I don't think this is just for show. We just went to Greenland for nothing. So this is pretty much the end of like part 1. We're gonna talk about Bug Eyes in the third part. And now let's talk about Leif, okay? So I was kind of, the first time I read the chapter, I was kind of bummed out and I was kind of angry because I was like, wait a minute, we just saw Leif like a year ago and he was fine. Why is he like this now? And I was really bitter and I was really like, come on man, we need Leif in this journey. But the more I thought about it, and the second time I read it, I'm like, do we? Do we really need Leif? And, because here's the thing, even before this cognitive mental decline, he still couldn't run. He used a cane to walk because he got the arrow in the knee in the War in the Baltic Sea arc, and he couldn't run anyway. And he was old, so there was already a huge chance that he was going to die in Vinland. Alright? But I thought it would be really nice to see Leif, see Vinland in the horizon, that would be amazing. Seeing him return there, wow. And maybe there could be some really interesting interactions between him and the natives. Like maybe they recognized him, or maybe they didn't, and there was a skirmish there, who knows. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, what can Leif offer in the story at this point? He's like a legacy character, sure. And yes, he could play the role of the negotiator, but that's about it. So, seeing him get this sort of ending, because I do believe he's not going to come with them. I don't think he's in a position to come with them. And I think at this point, he's going to stay there. He's going to stay in Greenland with his farm. he seems fine. You know, he has money, he has servants, he has family there. Yeah. So, and this ending to Leif's arc and story really fits with the real events of what really transpired with Leif Ericson. Because as far as we know, he pretty much died in his farm, right? Like at some point, either prior or during or slightly after Thorfinn Karlsefni's journey. This follows the real events. This does, you know, give Leif some rest finally after all these journeys and the adventures. And if we were going to see him die in Vinland anyway, maybe I think this is a better ending for him. I did make a video about, maybe you can see it here, about who's going to live and who's going to die in Vinland. So you should check it out once we finish this video. And I mentioned how, you know, Leif will probably die in Vinland if he goes to Vinland, right? And I don't know if I want to see that. I don't know if I want to see Leif get sick and die in pain, or be struck by arrows, or live his final days in struggle. So maybe this is for the better. Maybe this is a final goodbye to a character we've loved so much and who has defined the series as it is. And maybe he will appear in a couple of more chapters. Like maybe he'll appear in the next chapter and then in the epilogue of the series. Yeah, and I think that's a nice ending for him. And here's the thing: there's a really important aspect, a really important question that made me think, okay, actually, this might be a positive thing. All right? Leif staying back and not coming with them may be positive, because who's going to negotiate with the natives now? This puts a lot more pressure on Thorfinn or on the settlers, and only that, it kind of foreshadows more drama, because if the percentage of there being a conflict and a skirmish with the natives was like 50-50 in my mind up until now, with this chapter, it's like a 80-20, 80% chance there's gonna be a skirmish now, because Leif is not there to protect them. Leif is not there to communicate and to show them the way. And this just puts a lot more pressure and a lot more responsibilities on the shoulders of our protagonist. This is a good thing, you know? This is a good thing for drama purposes. This is going to become way more interesting from now on. And, okay, let's finally let's address the elephant in the room. What happened with Bug Eyes? Okay, so Thorfinn arrives and they tell him, you know, Bug Eyes is not here. He left. He abandoned, you know, Greenland. He left Leif, and apparently he went to Norway, or he got his money and found this Norwegian girl, and he wants to go to Oslo and whatnot. And we do get a flashback, and this is very important. We get a flashback 6 months prior with Bug-Eyed Thorfinn, you know, playing with all this money and gambling and like laughing and being obnoxious and having this girlfriend, this Norwegian girlfriend they talked about with him. And he says, well, I'm gonna go build a farm and I'm gonna get you 10 horses, babe. How many horses do you want? Like, and he's just obnoxious and silly and just, yeah. And when I first read this, again, I was furious. I was like, what? Bug-Eyed Thorfinn is not coming with us? And not only that, not only he's not coming with us, he's a jerk now, and he's gambling away his money, and he abandoned Leif. What the F, you know? Bug-Eyed Thorfinn was all about, I'm going to protect Leif, and I want to make sure that Pop's Leif is, healthy and safe or whatnot. What happened to him, I will say that this is within character, right? This is within character for Bug-Eyed Thorfinn. We have seen in the past that he was a bit of a jerk at times, and he was selfish many times. He just cared about his own life. I think there were a couple of lines where he went, well, F you guys, I'm out, and also there was this whole conflict with Thorfinn at some point where he said, well, I'm just here for the food. I'm just here for the money, and making sure that that Leif is safe. I'm not here to go and build a society, a utopia. So this is in line with his character. This is not bad writing, but it is a weird turn for the character towards a more darker version of himself. Okay? Because in my mind, Bug-Eyed Thorfinn was like Usopp, or was like Mineta from Boku no Hero Academia. He is the selfish, jerk kind of character who thinks of himself too much, maybe, and he's kind of like a comedic character, sort of, but you're not supposed to love him or root for him. So that's Bug-Eyed Thorfinn. But I think with this chapter, he overstepped the boundaries. He did something that he had never done, okay? And he actually caused harm to the group, to a member of the group. And he was very selfish. So, the way that I see it...
Wait. Is Bug-Eyed Thorfinn gonna replace Thorfinn? Is the theory coming to life? Oh my god. Okay, so in case of you don't know, in case that some of you don't know, there is this theory that I've covered in my channel. I have a playlist called Manga Theories, and it was the first theory I covered. It was called, Will Bug-Eyed Thorfinn replace Thorfinn? And it was this wild scenario where Bug-Eyed Thorfinn was actually a selfish brat who came with them to Vinland and managed somehow to escape, while Thorfinn died there. He died in Vinland. So when he returned with whatever remained of the settlers, that's what people saw. And they said, oh, Thorfinn is back. But they didn't mean the real Thorfinn. They saw Bug-Eyed Thorfinn. And this is a wild theory that has been circulating in Reddit a lot, and I've covered it. You should watch the video because I do mention a lot of things, a lot of details, and I kind of debunk it in a sense. But with this chapter, one of the things I mentioned in that video was that, Bug-Eyed Thorfinn is not a villain. He's kind of a jerk. He's kind of selfish, He's never hurt anyone. He's never caused harm to anyone. Alright? He may be selfish, but he's not selfish to the point that he's going to cause harm to people. Guess what? He just did. It is heavily implied in the chapter that Bug-Eyed Thorfinn took more than his fair share of money, because there was so much gold in there. I don't think they made that much money through their journeys. And he also abandoned Leif. He left Leif. He talked so much about, I'm going to make sure Leif is safe. What happened to that, bro? You just left Greenland. And only that, maybe with him, Leif would have someone to talk to, and he wouldn't have this cognitive decline. So, yeah, he just abandoned Leif. This is major. This is huge. And people will say, hey, what makes you think he's going to come back? We saw him, he's going to go make a farm, in Oslo or whatnot. Well, he's not. Because I don't know if you noticed, there is a 6 months prior bubble there on the top. Which means that already has happened. And we don't know where Bug-Eyed Thorfinn is now. Now, is it possible that this is the last time we see of Bug-Eyed Thorfinn? I don't think so.
90%, I don't think so. Because the way that the panels are structured, it shows to me that's something that happened in the past, and maybe it's not what happens now. Okay? Because if Yukimura really wanted to get rid of Bug-Eyed Thorfinn, she could have the same panel without that 6 months prior bubble up there. That's all he needed to do. And she would be done with the character. Well, Bug-Eyed Thorfinn got some money and left. He was a selfish brat all along. But no, there is this 6 months prior thing. And here's the thing. If Bug-Eyed Thorfinn has gambled all his money away and he's down on his luck, he's going to come back to Greenland. So there's a huge chance that Bug-Eyed Thorfinn will either arrive in Vinland shortly or is already in Vinland and will approach our heroes to beg them for help or to ask them to take him with them. And if that happens, I'm not going to lie, guys, anything is possible. It is possible that Bug-Eyed Thorfinn will be a threat. I don't think so, but a hurdle in the future, it is possible. I've always thought that Bug-Eyed Thorfinn would get them into trouble in the sense that he would like mess with the natives, or he would do something inappropriate, or sleep with some kind of native girl. But now, seeing how greedy and arrogant he was, did you see his eyes? Yukimura has never drawn eyes like these, ever. These black, dark eyes, full of greed and arrogance, I've never seen it in any character. To me, this shows me like he's a rotten guy. He has a rotten personality, So now all bets are off. He may come with them, and he may pretty much sabotage the entire thing, the entire expedition. He may go there and harass the natives or steal something from the natives. Anything is possible. And the thing is, this theory I debunked, which I highly recommend you go and watch the video, it starts to become a possibility. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. It's still a wild theory, and I genuinely don't think that Bug-Eyed Thorfinn would actively harm someone, right? Because maybe Bug-Eyed Thorfinn didn't know Leif would decline in such a way, and he would be in such a state. But there's a real possibility now that Thorfinn will be either an adversary, a hidden villain, or just a nuisance for the settlers. And if they get him back, if they recruit him, my eyes are on him. Like, I don't trust him anymore. What is he going to do when they get there? And what is he going to do when things go wrong with the natives? Is it possible that Bug-Eyed Thorfinn joins Eivor? Remember? The guy with the sword and the tattoos? Because maybe at some point, Bug-Eyed Thorfinn switches camps. Now, with this chapter, that is a possibility. And he's like, well, Thorfinn, you know what you're talking about, and you brought us here. Eivor is right. I should never have heard you or helped you or whatnot. It's a possibility. And now, what remains to be seen, I think the next chapter, the November chapter, is going to be about recruiting someone from Greenland. And maybe we're going to see Bug-Eyed Thorfinn on his knees return, broke and begging to be let in this expedition again. And I think by December, January at most, we're on the road to Vinland, guys. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. So, yeah, that's all my thoughts on this chapter. Overall, I'd give it a 7.5. It was decent. It was good. And especially the things with Leif. I think the Leif part was really emotional, really nice, really well done. Bravo, Yukimura, and we'll have to see what happens next. There are some really interesting possibilities now with Leif not coming with them. Okay? So I want you guys to leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think about this chapter, and just what are your expectations, from Bug-eyed Thorfinn? Or what do you think is going to happen with Leif? Are we going to see him die there before Thorfinn leaves or whatnot? If you like this video, hit like and smash the subscribe button. And if you want to see the theory I'm talking about, here's the video for who's going to die in Vinland, and here's the video for about the theory of Bug-eyed Thorfinn replacing Thorfinn. Yeah, so see you next time, guys. My next video will be about Moriarty the Patriot, so see you there. Until next time, my fellow Vikings.